right. And people, Greta, are just discovering this movie still. Most of them saw it for the first time, and obviously they kind of liked it, you could tell, which makes you feel great, I bet, coming out here and seeing this kind of response that you've been getting to this film, which is essentially your first it's certainly your first solo directorial achievement.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. No, this is amazing. This is what a surprise on a Saturday afternoon. And it was an amazing journey. Like I loved making the film. It's my first writing, directing solo debut, and I had such an amazing. It was such an incredible group of actors and crew and everyone who came together to make it. And I know everyone really poured their heart into it, and that it's being received that way it's the most exciting thing for me, and I think for all of us.
Yeah, it's something, and people, I think will come up to you often and say, oh, so it's got to be your story. You're from Sacramento, you went to a Catholic school, you did all of this stuff, but tell them the truth.
Well, it
is your story.
No, the truth is, I'm from Sacramento, and I did go to Catholic high school, and I really very much wanted to make a movie that took place in Sacramento because I love it very much, and it's my home, and I have really strong ties there. My family's there. My best friends from growing up are there, and so that's all very much grounded in what I knew. But the character of Lady Bird was actually something that both Saoirse and I realized when we started working on this together. It was not who I was when I was in high school. I was I never made anyone call me by a different name. I didn't dye my hair bright red. I was a very rule following kid. And I think we related on that level. And then when I wrote it, I was trying to almost create a person who was more brave than I had the ability to be, who was more wildly herself. And it wasn't until I saw Saoirse do it that I felt like I got to meet this flawed heroine that I had made up.
And we have a bunch of actors in the audience here, and this is such a great, all the way down the line, and those that aren't here too, a great ensemble you put together. And, as an actor yourself, what is that approach you have in working with actors as a director? I know you're not in the movie yourself, so.
Yeah, I adore actors. I've acted a lot. It's such a huge part of who I am as a director because it's how I was on sets. It was my film school because I didn't go to proper film school. And I feel like for me, part of what's so gratifying about making movies is trying to figure out how to work with each individual with what they need, because every actor needs something else, and kind of getting in there. Like for me, my most treasured memories are the scenes when for some reason didn't work, and we had to kind of get in there and figure out why and solve it together, because those are the moments where you're really being asked to bring all your creativity to the moment. And it was extraordinary, the group of people who said yes.
And how did you come upon the idea of casting Saoirse in this? How did that come to you? Did you think of her when you were writing it, or?
No, I wasn't thinking of anyone. I'm sorry, Saoirse. I haven't thought of yet actors while I was writing. Plus, it would seem pretty presumptuous of me to think of her. I was looking for my Lady Bird, and I was working with my casting directors, and I hadn't found her. And my producer, Scott Rudin, slipped her the script, and she really responded to it. And then we started Skyping, and then we met up at the Toronto Film Festival, and it was just instant. It was instantly right, and it was so different than what I thought, but exactly what I had wanted and not been able to articulate.
Wow. Saoirse, for you, what about playing this? We've seen you do so many great different kinds of roles, but I haven't seen you do one quite like Lady Bird before.
Yeah, I don't think anyone... Does this work? It feels like it doesn't work. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Good. I don't think anyone's quite seen a character like this before. And I think even within that world, nobody knows anyone like Lady Bird. I think, you know, you can see the affection that her family and her friends and Danny and, you know, all these different people have for her, because she is so many things. I think she's sort of allowing herself to be everything in order to find out which thing fits the best, you know, and to have that sort of bravery to pursue the thing, not knowing what the thing is a trait that I didn't necessarily have when I was younger, and I'm still trying to use a little bit more now. And so I think that was something that I admired an awful lot in her, just her bravery to sort of go for it, regardless of what it is.
Did you work with, I know Greta's...
Yours sounds so much louder.
It does.
It really does.
Okay. Well, did you work... I'm sorry. I don't know.
No.
Did you work with Greta in developing the character? I know once the script's done and you're out shooting, that's that. But how did you develop it along the way?
I mean, I think when it came to, you know, the physicality, her movement, her look, which can actually just really feed into a character anyway, that sort of stuff we worked on together. You know, her bedroom, how her bedroom was going to look, and what was going to hang from her school bag, the little sort of similarities that her and her best friend were going to have, which actually are all really, really important things to add to a character as an actor, I think, with the director. So so much of it was on the page already, it really was, and we didn't really we didn't at all veer away from the dialogue. You know, it was sort of set in stone, which was great, so we always had that to fall back on and to build up from. But yeah, I think, you know, all of the progress came from Greta and I talking to each other a lot, spending time together in the year up to shooting, and then all of us getting to, you know, hang out a few months before we shot the film.
This is like a mother-daughter love story of a different sort, definitely, but you can relate to the two of you in a big way, Laurie. And, you know, this is such a great character that you have, because even though she seems rough on her, you can see the love there.
Yeah, I know that, and that's to Greta's credit, because you know, on the page you can instantly see the battles that we have and the triggers and, you know, the passive aggressive qualities that we're masters of. But Greta, I love the little moments of heart that are thrown here and there that go a long way in telling their backstory that we don't get to see, because we're only seeing them at this one particular time within their relationship. And you know that they're going to ease their way out of it. But I adored working on the movie and working with everybody in it, and reading it for the first time. I couldn't wait to get started on it, and it was wonderful to go to work every day.
Tell me about that opening scene in the car, which I understand was actually shot towards the end of the shoot. Right. But it's so real to look at. Did you really just fly out of that car while she's driving along?
Oh, yeah. Now it's louder. Yeah. I do all my own stunts, drop and rolls. I'm very good at the drop and rolls. No, we had a big conversation about it beforehand, because I've done quite a few stunts before where my life has been put in danger. So in this case, everyone was like so cautious, and you know, we were on a rig. So we did it near the end of the film, and it was so great because Laurie and I had rehearsed and we had done every other argument scene, which was really great. No, it actually was really great, because, you know, in rehearsals, it was Laurie who said it at first. I think that it was really important to sort of pinpoint what type of argument each argument was, and how we can't sort of repeat the same one twice. So we had gotten to know each other as characters and as actors really well, and then by the time we did this, it just all sort of clicked into place. But the car was put on a rig, and Greta was in a car in front, sort of looking at us through the windscreen with her walkie and her bag of Cheetos. And
You're an action director, all of us.
She's an action director. Paul Greengrass, what?
Yeah. It's just as long as I have Cheetos, I can do any action scene.
Yeah, but it sort of felt like it clicked into place straight away, right?
I loved working on that scene because it got to be kind of messy. We were stepping on each other's lines, and it was all emotionally all over the map, from weeping at the beginning to, here comes all the button pressing and hurling yourself out the car door at the end.
Right from the very first take of the two of them in the car, it was just great. And most of, the two shot of it's mostly that first take. They were so locked into each other by that point that it felt like getting to be an audience member to your own film as it's being made is one of the most pleasurable feelings I've ever had. Yeah.
And what's great as well with the way that Greta and Sam Levy, our DP, shot it was that there's so many scenes that are just mainly shot in a two-shot. And for me personally, I don't know about you guys, but it really takes the pressure off when you're acting to know that like what you do with that other person is what will be seen. It's not like it's a shot that's just for your performance. So it was really, that's why I love doing car scenes as well, because so much of it is about what's going on in that one take. So that, I think that really helped too, that we knew we had to bring it within that one take.
You and your cast here, so many of them and others in the movie come from the theater.
Yeah.
And it's just an incredible cast you put together. Their careers are largely in the theater, obviously many other places too. But was that intentional?
Well, yeah, I mean, I live in New York, and I go to the theater all the time, and I actually knew Laurie's work primarily from the theater, as well as Tracy Letts, who plays Larry.
As opposed to like Roseanne or other things?
I grew up without television because my parents hated me. No, they they were really looking out for me. So I didn't know. There's like lots of large embarrassing gaps of cultural pop knowledge that I don't have. So I spent a lot of my youth pretending that I knew what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were. Anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, and Timothée was. He went to LaGuardia High School in New York, but he was in a play in New York that I was pointed to, and I knew his teacher at LaGuardia as well. And Tracy, of course, he writes brilliant plays, and I've also seen him act in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and a play called The Realistic Joneses, and Lois Smith I'd seen on stage, and Stephen McKinley. I know. Stephen McKinley Henderson was a stage actor I love very much, and so in a way it was it's my favorite way to watch actors, because there's nothing interfering with me looking at them, watching them work, and I'm a theater nerd at heart, and so I think that's always sort of what I gravitate towards, and I just get excited that I might be able to work with them.
That's what makes it one of the best ensemble cast I've seen this year.
And it's also fun to shoot, like Saoirse was saying about the two shots. Like, I think there's something about actors who are used to a stage and a proscenium. I kind of want to give them the space to let them act with their whole bodies. I don't always want to just get in their faces. I want to see how they how they move with each other, like the other thing that's created between the two of them, not just isolation, if that makes sense.
And since you mentioned you, Timothée, and my mic's now not working, talk about, that's okay. Can you? No, this one works, okay. Talk about your role here of Kyle, which is a really cool role. You've had a lot of great roles this year, too, obviously. So, congratulations on that and everything that's happening.
Thank you. And I think the thing that was important for me with this role, besides having excellent reference points, both from, I think, people in real life that Greta knew, but also just different books that were good to read for the character, it was important for me that I didn't just sit as an antagonizer. And if people see it that way, then that's fine too. But I had done a character arc on a TV show called Homeland, and when I watched it back, I always felt like there were moments where you can just be the antagonizer as opposed to finding the real human in that. And it's more a testament to the writing, but hopefully people can see that character as, an antagonizer in Lady Bird's life, but as someone that's genuinely suffering and has, real emotions and is just living a sad existence at this point and paranoid.
I loved your scenes together too. You look at him; he's not the bad guy, but he's certainly the cool guy. Somebody you haven't seen before, Lady Bird, quite.
Oh yeah. Oh, she notices Kyle. Favorite stage. What? Which one? Favorite stage?
Oh, this is just me complimenting myself. No, it was the R&B.
Oh yeah. Anyway, you had to be there. Sorry, this isn't the script. Yeah, we were talking about it the other day. Timmy and I were doing an interview, and we were chatting about their dynamic. And it's sort of the same actually with Jenna as well, who Odeya plays. But with Kyle, I think she so doesn't understand that world or what she perceives to be that world that she's just sort of like following his next move. You know what I mean? Because he's so unpredictable, and I think Danny, and he's so lovely, but it's a different kind of, there's a comfort there, and I think we're watching a kid, like what most kids do, they kind of push themselves out of their comfort zone little by little, just to see what's going to happen, and so he's that to her, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. And Odeya, you're playing the girl everybody wants to be. Every girl wants to be in school. That's for sure. That's the ideal. But she's not a stereotype, which is what I liked about her. I mean, you could see the friendship. She was not the mean girl, kind of character, which it could easily go into in a lot of Hollywood movies. You talk about playing, Jenna?
Yeah. I agree with what you said. I think that's the only way to do it. I mean, I think a lot of it is Greta's writing. I think the first time when I auditioned, when I just read the writing, I just knew how to say it. I just knew what kind of girl she was and how she talked right away, and the writing was so exceptional, so that really helped it. But I think it's just if you grow up really comfortably and you have a good family and everything is kind of working out, you don't really want to reach for anything else. And I think she's just someone that everybody has struggles in their lives, but she just didn't really have that intensive struggle. So she's kind of okay and doesn't want to try so hard, whereas Lady Bird is just such a go-getter, and I think all of her struggles lead to that, to her going to New York. But I think Jenna just hasn't had anything crazy going on, and that's her life, and that's what she's used to, and that's her reality. So it's just kind of a comfort for her.
Did making this movie make you want to move to Sacramento?
No. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
You all just want to move to Sacramento
right now.
No. I did. I actually went to Sacramento for 2 days. We went to a Paul McCartney concert. Shout out to Eli for hooking those tickets up. That was really fun. But it's so beautiful, and it's so. I'm not from the States. I'm from Israel, so I feel like Sacramento is what you think America is. Like, it's big. Everything is just spread out, and there's no rush, and people are super polite, and they're nice because they want to be nice, and it's very, kind of politically correct, but in a way that's, you're not trying to piss anyone off. Israel is very like, you know what I mean? Everything is small and crammed, and then, yeah, that's my. Okay.
I asked that because I saw this movie, Telluride, but since then I've seen 3 other movies all shot in Sacramento. It's happening.
Sacramento's just wait and see. It's coming. Yeah. No, I mean there's lots of great things. I can really talk about. It's the city of trees. It has more trees than Paris. It has the largest tree canopy in North America. Tom Hanks is from Sacramento.
This is the first thing Greta talked about when I met her.
Yeah.
This is the first thing.
Is that right?
Mark Spitz. I can keep going. Jessica Chastain. Just, I mean, we're in there. Justice Kennedy.
You do know you should work for the Chamber of Commerce, though.
It's my side gig.
Marielle, so talk about working, obviously the character of Shelley and Miguel, they're great. Yeah. They are sort of they become sort of the same person. It's an interesting
they're one.
dynamic.
They're one. They're like this dark shadow that just like follows. But we decided really early on that they were like very much in love and that they had this very sweet relationship. And although they like look extreme and are like, a pretty intense couple, but they actually they really love each other. And I think that's a testament to the writing, is that you can follow any story and it's a full life. So we get a little peek into their life, but not fully yet. Yeah. Yet. Just kidding.
Lady Bird 2.
Shelley and Miguel go vegan.
Really? Is there going to be a Lady Bird 2?
I mean, I do think if there was a Lady Bird 2, it would be like following a character that would not the main character. I want to know, we had this whole backstory, like Shelley and Miguel met while they were both at Berkeley, and they were both like goth and politically super left, and they were like living in a commune house together, and then they moved, we had this whole thing, and they just, I don't know, they're like politically charged veganism. It really warms my heart, and I love them. They're great. They're like they're great characters, and you guys, Jordan, and you would wear your hair the same way in every scene.
Yeah, even in the Christmas scene.
In Christmas, they both have like this top knot, and
I made Jordan do that.
Yeah.
I was like, "Let's have a top knot." He was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah." Well, I can't say that my brother's in the audience, but he dated this girl, and they, sorry, Michael, they became kind of the same person. So when I read the script, I was like, oh, I know them. Oh, wow. And so it was really easy for me to tap into that. Sorry, Michael.
All right, Bob. I took drama all through high school, all through college. I was that kind of guy, and I never had a drama teacher like you.
Well, I think if you asked Greta to be honest, the script started with the JV coach. I mean, really, it's kind of what this whole thing centers around that. I mean, his backstory and whatnot. I went to boarding school, and I actually, this happened. We had teachers that they never had enough teachers. They would always kind of cover for each other, and so we had a math teacher try to do PE once, and it was pretty, I was just like, man, he's really trying. Nobody really wanted to be there or anything, but man, he was gung-ho, and he's going to do this. And I was like, I'm just going to do that, I think. I feel like he's just going to make the best of it, and, if these kids, I'm gonna get them. I'm going to win these kids. And so, yeah.
You did it so realistically, though. I mean, the whole thing was so actually believable. And kind of endearing. Is he based on anybody you've ever encountered? Or?
Well, there was a football coach slash choir teacher, which was a very exciting combination. But when Bob did it, he brought this incredible sweetness to it. It was written on the page that he was that person, and now he's going to try to do this. But he brought this kind of earnest trying to it. He was going to do the very best he could. He was going to take these skills and try to apply them over here. And it made you love the character, because it wasn't just, it was like a man really doing the best he could. And it was hilarious.
It was super fun, because it was basically okay, stand at the chalkboard, okay, go.
Yeah.
That was just draw some X's and O's and start.
Yeah, that was one of the few places, I don't do improvisation at all, basically, but that was one of the very few places that we had the scripted things, a play is a play, and then I was now just explain this. based on who you know this guy is, and he came up with like the wide lines are singing and like that was. I mean, I was crying. I was laughing so hard while we were doing this. I like couldn't believe it. I was like, well, if nothing else, we've got that.
And you had much more than that, because I'm going to turn to some audience questions, which they filled out, and go right into something that ties in with this. And this is from Marcus. Where's Marcus? Right in the back. There's Marcus. Okay, Marcus wants to know what the inspiration was for choosing Merrily We Roll Along, a show I love, and has Stephen Sondheim seen the film?
Merrily We Roll Along is my favorite musical, and Stephen Sondheim he's Stephen Sondheim. He's interchangeable with any deity you want to throw out there. He's like, I love him so much, and there was something about the musical Merrily that felt like it was for people who don't know the musical. It's about three best friends, and it starts when they're all grown up, and then it moves backwards in time to when they're 17, 18, graduating from high school, dreaming about the life they'll have. And it's a beautiful musical, but there's a real central kind of ache in it, because it has this quality of like time is tumbling forward faster than you can hold on to it, and moments are kind of just slipping past you. And I felt like it was kind of an inappropriate musical for high school to do, which made me laugh. I didn't do that musical, and I also love it when teenagers pretend to drink alcohol on stage. I think it's so funny. Like, I wish I could just have a supercut of like all like teenagers playing older people drinking, and like. We're doing like Death of a Salesman or something. But so I love that. And then I figured for the people who knew what the musical was, they'd sort of know why that works. And the people who didn't, I wasn't overly concerned with explaining what it was. I thought maybe you'll go home and look it up, and then you'll know what it is. But I love it, and I loved that them doing it was like. So great. And then like Mari and Jordan and Tracy's face watching it. It was just like the best cutaway I could have asked for.
And did Sondheim see the movie?
Oh God, did he? I don't know. He did read the script when he gave his permission, and but I don't know that he's seen it yet. I have to. I'm kind of nervous about that, but I'd love him to.
Why? You have put his notorious flop show that shouldn't be on film forever.
Forever, that's right. That's right.
I bet he'll love that.
I hope so.
All right, this is for Saoirse. I don't know who wrote this, but you know who you are out there. Now that you're older and wiser, do you approach your roles differently? Yeah. Or how is it different?
How is it different?
That's what it also says, or how is it different?
I think I definitely went through a stage where I probably overcomplicated it a little bit, because when you do it when you're a kid, it's so simple. It's kind of easy in a way. You're not clouded. Your thought isn't clouded by second guessing yourself or comparing yourself to someone else or something else you've done, because you haven't done anything else. There's no expectations or anything like that. And so it's an amazing feeling to just be completely kind of uninhibited. So that's something that I've had to get back to. And I only went through a little stage where I was sort of, didn't have it as much, but I'm back to that now. But I also think, like, from role to role, it's always a slightly different prep, But ultimately, for me, it's been the same, because I didn't train or start in theatre or anything like that. I really did sort of just rely on the script and instinct, and then from that being open to trying things different ways. But that I haven't really veered away from that at all.
But you did go to theater and did The Crucible right about
Yeah.
the time that you got this role, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Timmy's a big fan.
It was great.
Timothy's a clear fan of that show.
He loved it.
No,
He
it
loved
was
The
it was very exciting. She was so great in The Crucible, and I brought Lucas Hedges, who's also so fantastic, who's in this movie. I cast Lucas as Danny, and he came with me to see her in The Crucible, and I was sitting there, and I realized, because Lucas was gasping and really into it, and I was like, have you not seen this? And he was like, no, he'd never seen it, he'd never read it, he didn't know what it was about, so he was like experiencing it for the first time, and it was so wonderful. And he was, how many people know The Crucible really well? You know, the part where they're like writing, and they're like, he's like doing his commandments, and he misses adultery from his commandments, and Lucas was like, he missed adultery. and I was like, yes.
For Greta and Timothée, please tell us about the construction of Kyle. Such a wonderfully specific douchebag to our generation. Like so on the nose to be entirely Timothy's invention. Would love to hear about the full process that went into his creation, and specifically his clueless, well-meaning narcissism.
Well, I have to say, I do not think of Kyle as a douchebag. I think of him as a 17-year-old who's like, dealing with his own stuff, and he's got a lot of defense mechanisms. But I never, like with Odea's character, I never wanted the character Timothée was playing to be generic. I didn't want him to be like the high school kid who was just some sort of like jock or something. I wanted him to be like, he's not wrong about a lot. The truth is I share some of Kyle's paranoias. It's the honest truth. He's got some valid points. I'm not trying to barter, but I do think they might try to put cell phones in our brains. But.
I was in a bar 2 weeks ago in New York, and I saw someone kind of staring me down. I thought, oh, cool, they probably saw Call Me by Your Name. That's gonna be great. And they said, isn't that the douchebag from Lady Bird? But listen, he's not a pure antagonizer, people. This kid has real problems in his life. And let me tell you, there is a scene in this movie similar. So Danny, which is Lucas's character, gets that beautiful scene where out near the garbage and breaks down in Lady Bird's arms, and it's as an audience you go yay for Danny. And there was a scene in this film where my father dies, and I go over to my family and I give them a hug, and we all break down together. Weirdly, I met the family that day because it's acting, and you meet the people you're acting with sometimes day of, and it was very surreal going over to a family and like all crying together because none of us knew each other. So. And that scene evidently got cut, and it's not in the movie. So, anyhow.
I know. It was that was one of the only scenes that didn't make it in the final.
That was one of the only scenes that didn't make it.
Well, there's a couple scenes. That scene, and there was a goodbye, an official goodbye scene with Danny, and an official goodbye scene with Julie. But both of those. There was like a feeling of like those stories felt like they were closed loops by the time I was in the edit, but I would say like 90% of the script is on the screen. Almost exactly as written.
Will it be in the Blu-ray and the extras?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Probably. I have some DVD extras always have kind of freaked me out, I have to say. Well, it's because like when I watched them when I was a kid, it was like, wait, those two characters hung out? What? Like I felt sort of betrayed by them. Like I'm specifically thinking of the DVD extras of Good Will Hunting. No, I swear, like Minnie Driver goes and visits Ben Affleck on a construction site, and they talk about Will Hunting, and I was like, they're not friends? She wouldn't do that? What's happening? And I felt like I didn't want to know this. So sorry, that's just my own problem with that.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Cinema Paradiso is one of my favorite movies, and I made the mistake of watching the longer director's cut.
Yeah.
And it should have been the original version and not that. You know, I didn't want to see him like go on for 45 minutes later. Sometimes what you left us is the way it should be, and what you gave us here is a gem. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank all of you, for coming out. Thanks, guys.
I want to go where culture is, like
How
New
in the
York,
world did I raise such a
or at least
snob?
Connecticut or New Hampshire, where writers live in the
Get into
woods.
those schools anyway.
Mom,
You should just go to City College. You know, with your work ethic, just go to City College and then to jail and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Ladybird is